All right. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Jerry Dietrich, Public Participation Specialist for the Department of Toxic Substances Control, also known as DTSC. The purpose of this webinar is to provide information about the lead-acid battery recycling facility investigation and cleanup program, which we also call the LABRIC program, and to introduce you to the CNS Battery and Lead Company site, which we call the CNS Battery site. On behalf of the department, we thank you for joining us right now, and we will move on to the next slide. Thank you. As glad as we are to see you here tonight, we know that not everyone will be able to join us. So we're going to be recording this webinar for later viewing. For that purpose, we'll be muting attendees for background noise. We're also set up the chat to provide you with information like clickable links and emails and phone numbers as we move through the presentation. Due to our limited time together, we may not be able to get to everyone's comments or questions, but afterwards we'll provide you with our contact information so that you can email us and we'll respond directly. Slide 3, please. Presentation slides for this webinar are available on DTSC's Envirostore database. We will provide a direct link in the chat, but if you need to type it in, the database is located at www.envirostore.dtsc.ca.gov. You'll enter the ID number for the site. It is 60002773. And then you'll click on the site name that pops up. It'll say LABRIC, CNS Battery and Lead. That'll take you to the right place, and then you'll navigate to the Community Involvement tab that has the slides and all of the documents related to the site. If you have questions from the media, you can contact Sandy Nax from our Office of Communications at sanford.nax@dtsc.ca.gov. Slide 4, please. Our meeting begins with an introduction of our presenters, followed by presentations on DTSC's LABRIC program, an introduction to the CNS Battery and Lead Company's facility background information, and its eligibility for accessing and using money from the Lead-Acid Battery Cleanup Fund for the site investigation or evaluation, as well as the plan for the investigation evaluation. After the presentation, I'll cover the public notice and the public comment period related to this site. The remainder of our time will be open to questions and comments, and our closing will include information on how you can contact the LABRIC team and provide your information, and we can answer your questions. Right now, I'd like to invite our LABRIC program team members to join us for their introduction. And if I can move to slide 5, please. Our first presenter is our LABRIC program supervisor, Yujia Jin, out of our Sacramento regional office. Yujia is a supervising hazardous substances engineer, and she's been with DTSC for about 8 years. Slide 6, please. Our second presenter will be John Ross, the CNS Battery Site Project Manager, who is a hazardous substances engineer. John has been with DTSC for about 3.5 years, and he's also at our Sacramento regional office. At this time, we'll begin our first presentations with Yujia Jin. If we can move to the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the webinar today. I would like to start my presentation by sharing DTSC's mission. The mission of DTSC is to protect California's people and the environment from harmful effects of toxic substances by restoring contaminated resources, enforcing hazardous waste laws, reducing hazardous waste generation, and encouraging the manufacture of chemically safer products. DTSC's mission includes protecting people who are potentially exposed to contamination caused by the operation of lead-acid battery recycling facilities. CNS Battery and Lead Company was a lead-acid battery recycling facility. Slide number 8, please. I will describe the LABRIC program site process, including background information on DTSC's LABRIC program and the California legislation, which authorized and direct facilitate the creation of the program. The LabRIC program was created by DTSC to implement the Lead-Acid Battery Recycling Act of 2016, which we will call the Act from now on. The Act provides the legal framework for our mission to identify and clean up areas contaminated by the operation of lead-acid battery recyclers. The legislation calls for fees of $2 imposed on dealers and manufacturers of lead-acid batteries for each battery they sell at retail to a person or to a dealer, wholesaler, or distributor. It should be noted that the largest number of these batteries are automobile batteries. These fees are placed into the lead-acid battery cleanup fund, or the fund for short. The LabRIC program is authorized to use money from the fund to perform a limited number of specific activities. These activities involve two major components. One, the investigation or evaluation of areas reasonably suspected to have been contaminated by the operation of a lead-acid battery recycling facility. And two, the cleanup of areas contaminated from a lead-acid battery recycling facility, as well as other response actions. In order for an area to meet the requirements for using monies from the fund for investigation or evaluation, two primary threshold questions must first be evaluated. One, is the facility a lead-acid battery recycling facility within the definition provided in the 2016 Act and the subsequent legislation? Two, is there an area of the state that is reasonably suspected to have been contaminated by the operation of that facility? Slide number 9, please. LabRIC program process begins with identifying potential lead-acid battery recycling facilities using relevant search criteria. For example, secondary smelter, lead smelting in various databases. Once a site is identified, it undergoes a site screening process, during which staff will review available evidence to determine eligibility for use of fund money for investigation or site evaluation. If the site is determined to be eligible for fund use, it will be prioritized for investigation or site evaluation. Once investigation or site evaluation is complete, DTSC will review the investigation results to determine whether the contamination is attributable to the lead-acid battery recycling operation. If the answer is yes, the site will be determined to be eligible for fund use for cleanup. If the answer is no, and there is existing contamination on the site, DTSC will refer the site to appropriate agency or program. This brings us to the main purpose of this webinar. We want to provide you with the information that explains why CNS battery was chosen for screening and why it is being investigated. Now I'm going to hand it over to CNS battery project manager, John Ross. Next slide, please.
Hello, everyone. Just so everyone is familiar with where we're talking about, shown here is a map showing the location of where CNS Battery operated. It's located at 860 Risk Lane, also known as 5th Street in West Sacramento, as shown in the outline area on this map. The site is currently known as Sacramento Stucco Company, and it's in the commercial area known as the Bridge District. It consists of 2.86 acres, and it's about a quarter mile southwest of the Sutter Health Ballpark. Slide 11, please. So let me share a little history about this site. Before CNS Battery operated at the site, Morris P. Kirk and later its subsidiary, Smelter Supply Company, operated at this site for 21 years, from 1952 through 1973 as a battery recycler. Then CNS Battery operated at the site for 5 more years, from 1973 through 1978, also as a battery recycler. CNS Battery recycled up to 6,000 batteries per week at this site. CNS Battery spilled or dumped battery acid on the ground, and they also melted lead and they poured lead ingot molds. Cal OSHA permanently closed the site in 1978 because of repeated worker safety violations. Slide 12, please. After CNS Battery closed, soil samples were taken and heavy metal contamination was found both on-site and off-site. Lead levels of up to 219,000 parts per million were found off-site near a lead melting pot. Keep in mind that the acceptable level of lead contamination for commercial or industrial properties is 500 parts per million, and for residential properties, it's 80 parts per million. Numerous cleanup activities occurred between 1979 and 2011. However, some contamination on site was never cleaned up, and it's uncertain if there are areas around the site that may still have contamination present. Slide 13, please. Sacramento Stucco has owned and operated at the site since 1995. They moved their operations to another location in West Sacramento, and the historic CNS battery site is currently mostly vacant. It should also be noted that the site is covered with buildings, warehouses, or concrete. There are no bare soil areas. Slide 14, please. Based on our research, the LABRIC program has found that CNS Battery is eligible for use of money from the fund for site investigation and evaluation. Based on this information, the LABRIC program began its investigation on May 25th of this year. The summary of the information that the program used to determine the eligibility is available for public viewing. We call it a screening report. Jerry will provide the webpage and location on a later slide for the screening report. Slide 15, please. Since it's not certain if there is contamination around the site, DTSC will lead an investigation to take samples at the site and areas within a quarter mile of the site. This slide shows the CNS battery site and the 1/4 mile investigation area contained within the circled area. DTSC has hired a contractor to take on-site and off-site soil samples with depths of 6 inches, 12 inches, and 18 inches. Groundwater samples will also be taken at on-site and off-site locations. After taking samples, the contractor will backfill the holes with soil to bring the area to pre-construction surface conditions as much as possible. Every attempt will be made to minimize disruptions to normal everyday activities in this area. You may see contractor and DTSC representatives with equipment in the area during this time. Soil and groundwater samples will be sent to a laboratory for evaluation. After the samples are analyzed, we will look at that data to determine if there's any contamination. If contamination is found, we would then need to determine whether that contamination was caused by battery recycling from CNS Battery. If the contamination was caused by the operation of CNS Battery, then the LABRIC program can use fund money to clean up the contamination. If the contamination is from another origin, then fund money cannot be used to clean up the contamination. Instead, DTSC would refer the site to the appropriate agency or program. At this time, I'm going to hand the presentation back over to Jerry.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Yujia. That was certainly a lot of information. And since we don't expect everyone to remember it all, we are posting the information online at the DTSC LABRIC Investigation Sites page. There you can access the public notice announcing DTSC's intent to initiate the investigation and site evaluation on and around the CNS Battery site. And there's also a link to the CNS Battery and VirusStore page. In addition to the presentation slides on that page, you'll find the CNS Battery Screening Report. The web address is www.dtsc.ca.gov/LABRIC-investigation-sites. You can also view these documents in person at the DTSC Sacramento Regional Office. You'll need to contact Chua Her at 916-255-4159 to schedule an appointment to view the documents. We're putting all this information in the chat for you now. When DTSC publishes a public notice, sometimes the public has a period of time to review the information online and send DTSC their comment about the site. We call this the public comment period. The public comment period for this site is from May 27th, 2022 through August 25th, 2022. All comments must be received or postmarked by August 25th, 2022. Next, we'll go over where you can send your public comment. Slide 17, please. Public comments or questions about the public comment period can be submitted to me, Jerry Dietrich, DTSC Public Participation Specialist for the LABRIT program. You can send your comments to me by mail at 8800 Cal Center Drive, Sacramento, California, 95826, or by email at jerry.dietrich@dtsc.ca.gov. For those of you on the phone, I'll spell my name, G like George, ERRY, dot Dietrich, spelled D like David, IE, T like Tom, RICH, @dtsc.ca.gov. Again, we're posting all this information in the chat for you. And remember, the comments must be received or postmarked by August 25th, 2022. At this time, we'll open up for questions. There's 3 ways that you can ask a question here on Zoom. You can use the raise hand feature, which is on the bottom toolbar, your Zoom toolbar. You can raise your hand, or you can put your question in the Q&A, and I can read it out for you. Anyone that has questions, again, you can press *9 if you're on the phone to raise your hand. You can type your question into the Q&A, or you can use the raise hand feature to ask your question out loud. Thank you. I see a question that we have in the Q&A says, from Aaron, what are the potential public health risks currently within the radius? The quarter-mile radius, I think is what he means. John, are you here?
Jerry, I can take the question. Hey, Aaron, thank you for that question. That's a great question. That's the purpose of this investigation. We are going to take samples in this area, and we hired a contract already. So we will take sample within the quarter-mile radius, and then eventually we're going to share data with and our findings with the public. All those reports will be available to the public, and then we will keep you in the loop. Right now, that's the purpose of this investigation, to understand the contamination within the quarter-mile radius, and also determine the next step. I hope it answers your question.
Thank you, Yujia. We don't have any questions in the Q&A, and we don't have any hands raised, but I do want to say that no question is too small. If you have any question at all, we have lots of time dedicated, especially for you, so that you have an opportunity to ask any question that you wish. If you don't want to ask it out loud by raising your hand, you can type it into the Q&A, and I can read it out loud for you. Alternatively, you can email it to me and we can answer it directly later. But we have set aside this time until 7 p.m. for you. Okay, seeing none, I guess that's all we have. Can we go to the next slide, please? So we do encourage you to contact us with any questions that you're not asking right now. And we do thank you for your time that you're spending with us today. For more information about the LABRIT program, you can visit our webpage at www.dtsc.gov/LABRIT-program. You can also email us at labrf@dtsc.ca.gov, or call our message line at 833-752-2742. We will respond to your messages within 2 business days, whether you call us or send us an email. To receive updates on the LABRIT program, subscribe to our e-list at www.dtsc.ca.gov/DTSC-E-lists. Once you're there, scroll down to the LabRIC program and click the subscribe button. And again, we are posting all of this in the chat for you. If you want to click it now, sign up for the e-list, get notified when the video is ready so you can share it or watch it again. We also share information about our annual report to the legislature via the e-list. Go ahead and check out our webpage. We have lots of information on there too. For questions specifically about the CNS battery project, you can contact John Ross, DTSC project manager at john.ross@dtsc.ca.gov. For those of you on the phone, I'll spell it john.ross@dtsc.ca.gov. Again, his phone number is 916-255-6624. For any media questions, again, you want to contact Sandy Nax at sanford.nax@dtsc.ca.gov. And I do want to encourage you all to take this time to ask us anything that you can think of. And if not, we'll say good night. Thank you so much and have a good rest of your evening. I see a question in the Q&A. Sorry, I almost didn't see it. Thank you again. Generally speaking, the question says, would the city water system for drinking, et cetera, continue to be safe even if the ground soil was determined to be contaminated?
Jerry, I can answer the question.
Thank you.
I can take the question. Okay, Aaron, thank you. That's another great question. Lead generally is not that mobile. So without investigation, we are not able to tell whether the contamination impact the groundwater or not. That's the first part of my answer. Another part of the answer is really depends on the drinking water source in this area. So I'm not sure what's the drinking water source for West Sacramento. That's a question for the city of West Sacramento. Third part of my answer is Yolo County. I personally live in Yolo County. I occasionally get some water quality report from the county. So you may want to go to their website to see the Yolo County website or city's website. They occasionally, once a while, they provide some water quality data on their website. So if you're really interested in the water quality in this area, go to Yolo County website or the city website. They should have some data there. That's my answer.
All right. Thank you so much, Vijaya. Appreciate it. And again, we appreciate you guys spending some time with us. It's available now. If you have any other questions, go ahead and ask them now. We don't want to miss your question, so I'll hang out just a minute. Again, the webpage that is on the slide right now has a lot of this webpage that's on the slide now has a lot of information about the LabRIC program and one other site that we have that's also in the investigation phase. So you can visit our webpage. If you have questions, you can email us. But seeing none, again, we will say good night and hope to speak with you in the future. Take care.